Well, howdy YouTube, and Merry Christmas to all of you. This is going to be my last video before Christmas. I don't know that I'll do one right after Christmas. We may wait till the first of the new year to make another video, but I wanted to get this one out to you before the Christmas holidays set in. So today is Sunday, the 22nd of December, when I'm finalizing this video, and I've been working on this video since it appears to be about the 13th of December. So if you've been following along, you know I've done some updates to those Dell servers that I have, the R710s. I put a more power efficient CPU in one of them. Pardon me. Upgraded the RAM and put Windows HyperV on it. And then I've got some other machines that are running VMware. I'm still, pretty big fanboy of VMware. It has its niches, I should say, areas where I find it useful and helpful. And, I've paid for that VMUG license, so it doesn't make sense not to run it in my lab environment. And the beauty of having a lab environment is you can run even multiple operating systems on one server. So I could triple boot. I could boot between HyperV, VMware, XCP, even Proxmox if I wanted to. Now, I caught a bit of flack when I told people I was moving away from XCP and G, and this video is one of the reasons why that I find VMware and HyperV a little more flexible than I do XCP. And I know the problems that I'm having with XCP will be resolved in time, but at this particular time and place, there is no easy way to convert between HyperV and XCP, or even VMware and XCP. I've had quite a few subscribers offer me some solutions, and I have saved those solutions into a OneNote document, and I plan on doing those, trying those solutions, and seeing if I can't get a process going that makes it easy to convert between XCP and Hyper-V and VMware, etc. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you with one piece of software how easy or trivial it is to convert virtual machines from VMware to Hyper-V and vice versa, from Hyper-V to VMware. Today what I'm going to show you is how I convert machines from VMware over to Hyper-V. Now, one thing that's really going to help us with this is the fact that I have shared storage set up. As you know, oh my goodness, I must have 30 terabytes now of stared. I swear to God, it's only coffee in the cup. I haven't been drinking, well, at least not this early. But that could change. But anyway, I have lots of shared storage around the network, up to 30 terabytes of I did it again. Shared storage. So it's fairly trivial. And I recommend, if you're going to do a lab environment, do some shared storage. It just makes your life a whole lot easier, especially when it comes to moving virtual machines around. Well, as usual, I have chatted you up long enough, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the trials and tribulations. So I'm over on my vSphere client on 5.6, which is my Dell. As you can see, it's the secondary Dell, the one with the X5670 processors in it, dual Xeons, and 64 gig of RAM. So this is right now is running ESXi, and as I've told you, removing stuff all over the lab. Now, I've already successfully moved this machine and converted it to run on Hyper-V, and that's the goal today. What I want to do is I want to leave these machines intact on VMware. I don't want to mess with them, but I want them to run under Hyper-V, so I need a way of converting them easily over to a Hyper-V virtual machine. And even though VMware makes a tool to do that, and Microsoft used to make a tool to do that, neither one of them worked really well, and they were kind of clunky. So I've come across a program called StarWind V2V Converter, and I'm going to show you how I do that right now. The one I want to convert over now is my PBX system, and then I want to convert Blue Iris over, and then that way I can have them all up and running on my other Dell running Hyper-V. So let's go out and do that right now. So I'm on my desktop, on my workstation desktop, and it's this program right here, the StarWind V2V Image Converter. I'll double click it and tell it to run. All right, and what I'm going to do is convert a remote VMware ESXi server. Now, I don't know that you can do this while the machine is running. I would not recommend it. I would shut down the virtual machine if you're going to convert it. So we're going to choose remote VMware ESXi, click on next. We're going to enter the IP address of that ESXi server, which is 5.6, then my username and password. Click on next, and now it sees the Dell ESXi Dell. So the one I want to convert is MCS PBX, and it'll give you some information over here. We've got 2 CPUs, 4 gig of RAM, 1 network adapter, and 1 virtual disk. I'm going to click on next, and then I'm going to click on Microsoft Hyper-V server next, and that host name is going to be Dell1-Hyper-V. And I'm going to use Windows authentication, but I'm going to use my domain administrator account just to make sure. So make sure you put it in there in the proper format, which is domain name /Adama, or whatever your username is, your administrator user. Click on next. So now it's telling me it's going to give it a name. It's going to give it the MCS PBX VMDK. The network connection is going to be gigabit 10 vert. It's a Gen 1 machine. And now it wants the path to the virtual machine. So I've got an iSCSI share on there, which I believe is drive letter H. Yeah. So we'll select H Hyper-V. Next. And click on converting. And then it's as simple as that. And then let it run. So it started this little endeavor. Let's round that up and say it started at 10:43. I'll let this run. We'll see how long it takes to convert it. We'll come back and show you the results. All right, so it took roughly 6 minutes to convert that image. And granted, that PBX virtual machine is not very large file size wise. We have another large virtual machine, our surveillance virtual machine, that we're going to convert as well. But let's just see how this one ended up converting. So let's go over to our Dell right here, which is running Hyper-V, and let's see if it created the machine, and it appears to have created the machine. So I'm going to right click on it and go to settings and just verify everything looks good. I don't need it to boot from CD, but it won't because it's got an ID hard drive. Let's see. 4 gig of RAM, 2 virtual CPUs, and there's the hard drive. So we should be ready to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and connect to that. And then I'm going to go ahead and start the virtual machine. And let's see if we can get our phone system back up and running. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Well, that's a good sign. And I got to tell you, it's been years. But Starwind, back when iSCSI and cloud storage and virtual machines were getting to be all the rage, Starwind came out with a excellent iSCSI virtual iSCSI driver for Windows. I used it. I cannot say enough good things about Starwind products, and a lot of them are free to use. So, all right, now according to this, the free PBX is up and running. So let me dial my phone here on my desk and see if I can connect to somebody. All right, so let's see if I can make a phone call now from my desk. I'm going to go. Bear with me a second. I'm going to...
Thank you for calling.
Yes, it worked. Worked like a charm. Isn't that nice when that works? Let's try one more, just to make sure. One ringy dingy. Two ringy dingy. 3 ringy dingy. Now this is interesting. This is another client I'm trying to call. And they're on that Grand Stream UCM instead of free PBX. And I've had nothing but trouble with that phone system.
If you know the party you're calling, you can enter that extension at any time. For Ed, press 1.
So it finally went through, but you saw how kind of quirky that dial was. But there we go. We got our free PBX up and running. I'm going to go ahead and close that window. Let's take a look and see how it's handling the load. So we've got our low power L5640 Xeon processor in there. 12 cores, 24 threads. Got 96 gig of RAM in there, 16 gigabits in use. And we have our 10 gigabit Mellanox network card in there. Everything seems to be handling the load. The next thing we're going to do now is convert our surveillance machine. So let's go do that right now. So the machine name is Blue Iris, as you can see right here. And if we go over to the data stores, you'll see that we've got quite a large drive size for this Blue Iris. In fact, it's 102 gigabytes in size. And then the swap file here is 4 gig in size. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this machine down. And we go over here to the summary. Let me launch a console. And I'm going to go ahead and shut this machine down. Bear with me. All right. Go ahead and choose shutdown. We'll leave it as unplanned. It's no big deal. And you see our free PBX is up and running there, just real quick. Alright, so our Blue Iris should now be shut down. Give it a second to refresh the screen here. And yes, Blue Iris is now turned off. So let's go back to our StarWind converter. Let's convert another image. And again, remote VMware ES6i. It should keep all of our information in there. And this time we're going to select Blue Iris. We've got 4 CPUs, 4 gig of RAM, 1 network adapter, and 1 virtual disk. Next, we're going to convert to HyperV, Dell HV1. Next. Now this time it's requiring 97 gigs. So I'm going to put this on the, I've got a drive pool. I've got a pool drive out here running drive bender. So I've got lots of storage space out there. So I'm going to tell it to put it there. So it's going to call it Blue Iris. It's Blue Iris VM DK. Windows, it's going to be a Gen 2. And let's go ahead and click on convert. So we've started now at 1056. This probably is going to take a bit of time. That is a rather large hard drive. 100 gigs, going to take a while to copy. And I've got that server, the Dell 1-HV, that we're copying this to. I've got it doing some file copy issues right, or I have it doing some file copy tasks right now. So that could affect the speed, but I'll come back once this is close to finishing, give you an idea of how long it took. Alright, so our start time was 10:56 a.m. and our completion time is 11:36 a.m. So all told, it took about 40 minutes to convert this image. So let's go over to the Dell now and see if this unit is ready to go. And that would be Blue Iris. So let's right click on it and go to settings, because this is a Gen 2 machine. So we're going to want to make sure we boot from the hard drive, and we turn off secure boot, those two items. Now I've given this unit 4 gig of RAM and 4 CPUs. There's the hard drive, there's the gigabit virtual adapter. So let's go ahead and connect, and then let's start this machine up and see if we can get our surveillance software back up and running. Nothing like doing it in real time, eh? Alrighty, it looks like it's booting up, so that's a good thing. Now this unit runs Windows Server 2019. That's the VM that this is running, or the operating system this VM is running, I should say. And it is booting off of internal storage. I don't have this The other machines that I converted are running off of shared storage off that Synology flash station. This one is currently running off of local storage. And I am doing a rather large, because this is also my backup server for my files, because I've got extra storage on it. So keep that in mind. I'm running that in the background of file transfer. So it's probably eating up most, if not all, of the hard drive. Alright, so let's see if we can actually log on to this machine. Okay, so it's finally going to let me log on. Would help if I enter the right password. Oh, you know what? I did not uninstall the VMware tools on this machine. Alright, so one thing I forgot to do before I converted this machine was to uninstall the VMware tools, and I'm talking about Blue Iris. So what I want to do is go into Blue Iris admin, and I'm going to prevent this from starting automatically because I want to get the machine. The goal is to get the machine transferred over to HyperV, and then when it comes up, it should just work. Oh, that's interesting. Front door, no signal. We'll look at that later. So what I want to do is keep this from coming up automatically, so I'm going to disable it running as a service. And we'll close it. And then we need to uninstall the VMware tools as well. Alright. So we'll come here. Now, I like to use Control Panel, but, you know, Microsoft has tried to hide it away. They want you to get away from it in Windows 10, but, you know, I still prefer it. So I'm going to uninstall a program, and I'm going to uninstall VMware tools. And this is going to make my display go wonky here for a minute as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this when I do the conversion over with Starwind. I'm going to save it to the iSCSI share instead of the local storage. And hopefully it'll transfer faster, and then it'll boot a bit faster on HyperV once I get it transferred over. You could probably do this without removing the VMware tools, but and there you see the display just changed. But I am not going to take any chances. I'm going to remove the VMware tools. And of course it wants me to restart, so I'll let it go ahead and restart. That'll also just verify that Blue Iris is not starting automatically. You got nothing better to do, so come along for the ride with me. Now, having used XCP and Proxmox, and I'm sure some of you will disagree with me, but XCP and Proxmox are not on the level that VMware is. Not yet. They're getting there. They're getting there, and they've got really good support out there in the community. And for probably the majority of you, XCP or Proxmox will work just fine. But you know, I've got some special needs, so I like to play. I like to tinker with VMware and with Hyper-V. My hope was I was going to convert everything over to XCP-ng and run that, have that run my lab, have that run everything. But it just didn't work out that way for many reasons. One of them being the fact that I like the pass-through on VMware better than I do better than I do on XCP. All right, now this conversion down here is about to complete. So once it's done, it's going to pop up a website. So, all right, so I've got this unit up and running now. Let's just make sure Blue Iris is not running in the background. Yeah, we're good. Well, we'll let it stabilize here for a minute. Yeah. All right, so good. So now we can go ahead and shut this machine down. All right, so let's try it again. So we've got the Starwind V2V converter. I'm going to click Next. This is our VMware machine. I'm going to go choose the Blue Iris. Next. Convert it over to Hyper-V. This is the machine we want to convert it to. And this time I'm going to put it out on the iSCSI drive. So there we go. It's a Gen 2 gigabit to invert. Let's go ahead and convert it. And we'll let it run. We've started at noon. Now I'm going to go have some lunch and come back, and we'll see how long it took once it's done. So it appears that things work much better if you follow the rules. And I removed the VMware tools and re-exported the machine. See if the hard drive's got enough storage space. Yeah, and there's the problem. We need to increase the hard drive space on this. So I'm going to take it from 100 gig to 200 gig, and I might as well take you along for the ride. So let's do this. We'll go ahead and shut down the virtual machine. I didn't realize the hard drive was almost full on this. And then we should be able to go out to the hard drive and edit it. And we should be able to expand the virtual hard drive space. So we'll make it a 200 gig hard drive on that machine. Now I've just increased it. Now I need to load the virtual machine again, and then go in and expand it under there. And then we'll fire up Blue Iris and make sure it's working. Now ideally what I should do is create another VHD just for the surveillance storage. I should separate it off of the operating system hard drive. I just haven't done that yet. You know, as a matter of fact, come to think of it, let's do that. Let's just go ahead and do that. We're going to shut it down again. Nothing like changing in the middle. I hope I can reshrink that volume. I don't know that I can. Go to settings. Shrink, and we'll bring that back down to, we'll do 100 gigabytes. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add another hard drive. And we'll do a new one. And dynamically expanding. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the local. And we'll call this Blue Iris. And we'll go recording. And we'll put it on the local hard drive. We don't need really fast storage for the local. And we'll select that folder. Next, we'll make it 127 gig. Finish. Let's apply. Now let's see if it'll boot. I have to admit I'm much more well versed with Windows than I am with VMware, and this is trivial under Windows for me to do this, but under VMware it's a huge pain in the butt. Just for me. Of course, I'm still learning VMware. So now we're going to go into disk management, and we're going to format that extra drive we have. This should be fine now. Yeah, shrink. Nope. Okay, so we'll do a we'll bring it online. And then we'll initialize it. And I'm just going to use GPT. Now I'm going to format this as REFS, just because that's what I've been doing here lately. And we'll just go recording. We'll call it the recording drive. I'm going to perform a quick format. Alright, so it's formatted now. So now what I want to do is I want to move these recordings. So we'll come in here to Blue Iris. And it's this one, and this one we're going to cut. And we're going to create a new folder here. And then we'll paste them there. So as you can see, it's moving the recordings off of the C drive and onto the D drive. Now, the C drive is actually the Synology flash station. If you look up here, you see that's the speed we're getting from the Synology flash station. And then down here you can see the write speeds we're getting on the drive vendor drive array. And you can see it is moving the files over to the virtual hard drive, the Blue Iris recording VHDX. It doesn't show the individual files, but I just wanted you to see that. So it is going to kind of limit our speed, to about 120 megabytes per second, or it looks like we're receiving data at 1.3, 1.6, 1.4 gigabits per second. This is all of this entire part of this network is on the 10 gig networking, and the thing that's limiting our speed is, of course, spinning Rust. But you'll see we get some bursts up here to 200 megabytes per second, close to that. So we'll let this finish copying, and then we'll go into Blue Iris and reconfigure it to save the recordings to that new location, and then we'll start it up and see if everything is working. All right, so we've got the data moved now from the C drive. As you can see, we freed up quite a bit of space, and we've got it over on its own drive now under recording and Blue Iris. So the next thing we need to do is tell Blue Iris that it needs to change where it saves its recordings to the D drive, and then we need to enable it as a service so that in the event I reboot this server for whatever reason, it'll come back up on its own. So the first thing we need to do is go back into Blue Iris and set our recording directory, and then we can make the changes to the startup setting. Alright, so I gave up on importing the virtual machine, and seeing as this is Windows Server 2019, I can just run Blue Iris natively as a Windows app, and that's what I've done. And you can see it's even with these 24 threads, it's only taking up about 12 to 13% of CPU usage, even with all the other VMs running. So that's the way I'm going to run it from for now. I just had too much trouble getting it to run in a VM, so I'm not going to focus on it and waste any more time. I'll just run it natively as a Windows app. Blue Iris is very easy to move around between machines if you know what you're doing. I'll do a separate video on that showing you how to move Blue Iris around from machine to machine so you can try it out for yourself. But suffice it to say right now, it'll be fine running natively. And then I've got these other virtual machines up here and running, and we'll be adding to them as time goes on. So there you go. So we had success on one conversion and not so much success on the other. Now, if you paid any kind of attention, I just got frustrated with trying to convert that Blue Iris machine. And I got to thinking to myself about halfway through it, it's so trivial just to reinstall Blue Iris. If you use their backup utility within the program, the key is you want to deactivate the software, then do a backup of your configuration, save that backup somewhere, and then reinstall Blue Iris, activate it, and restore your configuration, and bing, bang, boom, you're back up and running. So rather than rather than futzing with the virtual machine, which I could have gotten working, but I just found out it was more trouble than it was worth. But it did give you a good example of what you might run into when you're converting virtual machines between the different hypervisors. So there you go. Yeah, we still have VMware. Yeah, we still have HyperV. And yes, we're going to play around some more with XCP-ng because I've got this bee in my bonnet now that I want to make this process that you saw how easy it was to convert to HyperV from VMware. I want it to be that easy to convert, say, from HyperV to XCP. So that's on my project list for the first of the year. Now I want you to take a good look behind me because what you see back there is going to change by the end of, or by the beginning of next year. The biggest problem I have is that desk right there. I love that desk. It's been in my family for years. It was originally my brother's desk. He had it made over in Greece when he was stationed over in Crete. And it's all handmade. It's an 8-9 drawer desk. But the problem is the middle portion is not made for Americans, I should say. We tend to be a bit wider than Europeans, because we like to eat a lot. Eat a lot of bad food for us. The problem is that you can't really put a full size chair in that desk. And while the reason I kept that desk around is because of all the drawers in it, so I have places to put things. So, but I've been to IKEA. I got my mother, or we got my mother a Christmas present. We got her a new dresser for Christmas because she's got an old antique in her room. So I got to looking around and I found some drawer units that'll go underneath my. I prefer to use these. You see that workbench there? Those are just white tables from Walmart. They work really great. I wouldn't sit on them, but they work great as workbenches. So I think what we're going to do is extend. We're going to get rid of that desk and give it a good new home and make some other changes back there and still have storage because it needs to be a working space. And right now, as you can see, it's just kind of caught clutter again. It's really easy to clutter. And yes, that is a Dell R720 behind me. You're just going to have to wait and see what I do with that thing. So there you go, YouTube. You can call it a success. You can call it a failure. You can call it whatever the hell you like. I just wanted to show you how I did it here at Uncle Joe's Playhouse. So, and again, like I said, this is the last video I'll be doing before Christmas. I don't know that I'll do a video between Christmas and New Year's. It just depends on how busy I get with family and everything else, and trying to put client work in there. I've got a couple of clients that have decided they want to spend some money for the New Year's, so I've got to get busy with that. So, there you go. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please give us a thumbs up down below and leave your comments in the comments section. And don't forget, we take PayPal and we take Patreon if you're so inclined. So please don't forget to come back and see us again. And don't forget that we will see all of you on the other side.